Hello, welcome to ACNNTV News on the Hour. I am Charles Philip Wakolam. God's call on an individual is confirmed through the church, which Jesus Christ uses to strengthen, confirm, and grow the various gifts among his children. These were the words of the Right Reverend David Kayode Bello, the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Otukpo, during a recorded program on ACNN-TV titled Anglican Ambassador. Speaking on the topic, ordained ministry in the Anglican Church, the cleric stressed that the priest ordination in the Anglican Church requires the consent of the people and not just decision made solely by the bishop.
I told you before, you start from your parish, or even your mission congregation. Say you want to become, the vicar will tell the PCC, one young man in this church say he wants to be a priest. The people know themselves, they say, which boy? That boy is an M smoker. Don't mind him, he's not a, tell him to go and stop smoking him first. The people have a say in who becomes a priest.
You can watch full episode of the program on this station every Friday and Sunday by 8:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. respectively, or log on to YouTube page at youtube.com/ACNNTV. Train up a child in the way he should go, that when he is old he will not depart from it. It is on this injunction from the Bible that parents have been urged to place the upbringing of their children above anything else. Speaking in an interview with ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu in Abuja is the wife of the vicar of St. Paul's Anglican Church, Nyanya, Mrs. Olusegun Adeshokon, who stated that many parents have been lacking in this responsibility of raising godly children.
Children the way it should go, and when it's old, it will not depart from it. But these days, we are lacking in this responsibility because we don't have the time for our children. We no longer devote our God-given time to them. Rather, we pursue other things outside, which will make us to regret God giving us these children at the end of the day. May that not be our portion in Jesus' name.
She further called on mothers to spend more time with their children, urging them to take advantage of the long holiday to inculcate good morals and values in their children.
No amount of time spent on these children is too much. But be as it is now, we need to pursue how we are going to survive. We cannot just sit down at home and be waiting for money to come in. But we should try as much as possible and devote much more time to the training of our children. And in no distant time, we will reap the fruits of training them in the way of the Lord. My words to mothers, even at this time that the children are on holiday, is to devote more time to their upbringing. Train them what they should know. Some of them have learned so many things while they are in school. But now that they are at home, we should endeavor to train them, to persuade them to grow in the way of the Lord.
One of the major calls of every born-again Christian is to pray, because when one prays, his or her spiritual radar is working. A Christian missionary, Mr. Stephen Agada Awoji, who played guest on ACNN-TV weekly program, Christians in Politics, made this submission while speaking on the topic, Pray, Plan and Prepare. According to him, Christians who wishes to delve into politics ought to pray, plan and prepare, because it keeps every Christian that is strategically located to be ready for the next phase in life.
It's one of the major, call of every Christian, apart from evangelism. In Luke chapter 18, verse 1, the Bible said, men ought always to pray and not to faint. That means that your spiritual radar is woken when you pray. Your connectivity is made alive when you pray. And that raises your vision. It makes your vision to come alive. And then you begin to plan to what do I do with my life. These signals are picked when you pray. Then, having known what to do, that is, you begin to plan for it. Then you prepare for it. Since we're talking about politics, let me make a little analogy, just a brief analogy. You see, when Christians commit to prayer,
our sensitivity towards politics is awoken.
Yeah.
When it is awoken, we begin to plan. How do you plan to face the political arena? You go to the grassroots, it's part of the plan. You register yourself, it's part of the plan. You become a party card carrier as a Christian.
Yeah.
That's part of the plan. And then you become a functional political, sensitive person. You get informed. Then prepare. You give yourself the necessary qualification, the necessary ideology that can fix you in. So praying, planning, and preparing keeps every Christian strategically located for the next phase.
Moving on to national scene, the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has sworn in the ministers of Nigeria who were earlier screened by the Senate. Before now, a 2 days presidential retreat for the ministers designate, federal permanent secretaries and government functionaries was held in Abuja, where President Muhammadu Buhari participated, charging the ministers designate to carry out their responsibilities as ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, bearing in mind that public service is not an easy work, and for them to give in their best to deliver on the mandate for all Nigerians.
For me personally, majority of our people are poor and are anxiously hoping for a better life. A Nigeria in which they do not have to worry about what they will eat, where they will live, or if they can afford to pay for their children's education or health care. Our responsibility as leaders of this great country is to meet these basic needs for our people. Public service is not easy work, and at times it can be thankless. I am therefore charging you all to seize this opportunity to serve as an honor, to give your best to deliver on this mandate for a more prosperous Nigeria, not for some, but for all Nigerians. You will find that working purposefully will enable us to achieve quicker results, recognizing that 4 years is not a very long time.
The swearing-in ceremony started with the recitation of the national anthem, introductory remarks by the special advisor to the President Muhammadu Buhari on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the citation and swearing-in of the Secretary General of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and then the swearing-in of the ministers who were grouped into batches and sworn in by President Buhari. Present at the swearing-in of the ministers are Senate President Ahmed Lawan, Deputy Senate President Ovie Omoagege, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, National Leader of the APC, Bola Tinubu Ahmed, SGF Boss Mustafa, among others. President Muhammadu Buhari also assigned portfolios to the newly sworn-in ministers.
Dr. Ali Isa Ibrahim Antani, Minister of Communication. Emeka Iwajiba, Minister of State Education. Engineer Suleiman H. Adam, Minister of Water Resources. Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, Minister of Finance. Dr. Mohammed Mahmoud, Minister of Environment.
The Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal has reserved judgment in the suit filed by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and the People's Democratic Party challenging the election of President Muhammadu Buhari. A five-man panel of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, headed by the Justice Mohammed Garuba, reserved judgment to a date to be communicated to all parties involved in the petition. Dr. Levi Uzo, who led the petitioner's legal team, insisted in his final written address that President Buhari's claim that he submitted his certificates to the military board has been controverted by the secretary to the military board. Lawyers to INEC, President Buhari and the APC, however, urged the tribunal to dismiss the petition with the substantial costs for lacking in merit and substance. They argued that the nation's law only requires a candidate to be educated up to secondary school level or its equivalent. Meanwhile, the President Muhammadu Buhari has insisted that there is no law in Nigeria that requires him to produce his certificates in a bid to prove his eligibility. Buhari argued that under the 1999 Constitution, he was only required to be educated. He stated this through his counsel, Chief Wole Olanipekun, SAN, while adopting his final brief of argument in opposition to the petition. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) and its candidate Atiku Abubakar filed to nullify Buhari's 2019 re-election at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has said that the Apex Bank is committed to implementing its policy on restriction of foreign exchange issued for importation for food materials into the country. President Muhammadu Buhari had last week sparked the controversy when he disclosed that he has directed the CBN to stop providing foreign exchange for importation of food. This, he said, was due to his steady improvement in agricultural production and attainment of full food security. This restriction on foreign exchange means businessmen and women in Nigeria who depended on the bank for foreign currency to import food items into the country would have to source from alternative dealers, which tends to be more expensive. Many have criticized this policy as anti-people, noting that Nigeria's food sufficiency, as touted by Buhari, is wildly exaggerated. However, while speaking at the induction of Buhari's ministers, Emefiele said Buhari's directive is in line with the CBN foreign exchange policies that started since 2016.
Is that this president has made this comment purely to strengthen the position of the Central Bank of Nigeria. To say, yes, he believes in what the Central Bank of Nigeria has been doing since 2016 and that there is a need for us to reinforce that going forward. And I will say that, to be honest, we would aggressively go more into the list of items that are being imported into the country and that we think can be produced in Nigeria. And we would, and I would like to stress that we would ensure that more of these items get onto the list of items that are going to be restricted from accessing foreign exchange in the Nigerian banking industry, not just from central bank source. Why should we be exporting jobs to another country? Today we are complaining that there is a high rate of unemployment, leading to some extent the level of insecurity in the country. Why should we allow people to import food that can be produced in the country? We need to improve the wealth in our rural communities, and I'm saying we will not change course. We will even be more aggressive on this program.
President Buhari reappointed Emefiele for a second term as CBN governor in May, just weeks before he was sworn in for a second term himself. The 57-year-old was first appointed by former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2014 and is the first CBN governor to be reappointed for a second term since Nigeria returned to a democratic system in 1999. The operatives of the Nigerian police have re-arrested the notorious kidnap kingpin Alhaji Hamisu Bala also known as Wadume. According to police public relations officer Frank Mba, Wadume was rearrested in the late hours of Monday, 19th August 2019, in his hideout at Lane Mai Alo Hotoro area of Kano State. It would be recalled that the police had been on the massive manhunt for the suspect Alhaji Hamisu Bala Wadume since 6th August 2019, following the unfortunate incident in Ibi, Taraba State, which resulted in the brutal murder of 3 police officers and 2 civilians and the injury to 5 others. The suspect, who was appropriately restrained at the time of the incident, was subsequently released by his rescuers after they had destroyed the restraining handcuffs.
I
am Hamisu Bala. The police came to Ibi and arrested me. After arresting me, they were taking me away when soldiers went after them and opened fire, and some policemen were killed. From there, the soldiers took me to their headquarters and cut off their handcuffs on my hands, and I ran away. Since I ran away, I have been hiding until now that the police arrested me. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, while commending the police operatives for their perseverance and painstaking efforts, has expressed his profound gratitude to all Nigerians for their unparalleled show of love and empathy to the force and the families of the officers and patriotic civilians who paid the supreme price in the service of their fatherland. It is his belief that the rearrest of the suspect, Alhaji Hamisu Bala Wadume, will no doubt help in bringing answers to the numerous but hitherto unanswered questions touching on the incident and the larger criminal enterprise of the suspect. We now go on a short commercial break. News on the Hour makes a return after this. Please stay tuned.
Ajayi Crowther University admission has commenced. Programs on offer include undergraduate, postgraduate, part-time, HND conversion, foundation and pre-degree in faculties of law, humanities, education, natural sciences, social sciences and management sciences. Our tuition is affordable and payable in 3 installments. Visit the university website at www.acu.edu.ng for online application, screening and admission letter. Given our state-of-the-art facilities, well-equipped library, decent learning environment and distinguished lecturers. Apply now by logging on to www.acu.edu.ng. For details, call 0814-592-0637. Ajayi Crowther University, raising godly intellectuals.
The Anglican International Academy, AIA, is a Christian coeducational school located in the Zido district of Abuja. We have highly qualified teachers who we train and retrain for continuous professional development. Our teacher-student ratio and ultra-modern facilities meet international educational standards. AIA officially opens from September 2019, so avail your child the opportunity to acquire knowledge in an environment ideal for learning and spiritual growth. Admission into JSS1 is on. Forms are available at Episcopal House, 24 Douala Street, Wuse Zone 5, All Saints School, Wuse Zone 3, and Anglican Girls Grammar School, Apo, Abuja. For inquiries, call 080-3311-3935 or 080-3955-8787. Anglican International Academy. Excellence, faith, and integrity are watchword.
Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. And now to the international scene. Wisdom is the application of knowledge in the right direction. Hence, the need for Christians to hold on to this virtue which will enable them live a victorious life here on earth. This was a submission of the Dean of the Cathedral Church of the Holy Trinity, Houston, Texas, the Venerable Chukwuma Obadinobi, at a service during his sermon titled Admonition for Effective Living. According to the cleric, parents must apply wisdom in the training of their children, adding that Prophet Eli left his children loose. That was why, despite serving as a priest in the temple, they were still indulging in an unholy act.
What is wisdom? Wisdom is the right application of knowledge. So it's not good enough to know. It is better to know and to do what? Apply the knowledge rightly. When you apply knowledge in a right way, that is demonstration of wisdom. That is display of wisdom. Praise the name of the Lord. And if we do that, then we will not be counted among these naive young men. We will not even be that particular young man that didn't have common sense. That is common in America, doesn't make it right. Fornication is sin. Adultery is what? Sin. Don't go and buy condom for your children and say you are using it to support them. You're telling them to go and misbehave and they do whatever they want to do. Say something. Let's behave like parents. May the Lord help us in the name of Jesus Christ.
The Venerable Obadinobi further stressed that for Christians to live effectively, they must be accountable and should be able to set boundaries when dealing with the opposite sex. A worker at the UK's Hong Kong consulate has been detained at the border for allegedly violating the law, as confirmed by China. Media reports say Simon Cheng, who is thought to be from Hong Kong, went missing on 8 August during a business trip and was detained at Shenzhen for 15 days. The UK was extremely concerned, saying the embassy in Beijing has provided support to his family. Meanwhile, China said Mr. Cheng had been detained for violating public security management regulations, although the foreign ministry gave no details of the alleged offense. Following large-scale protests in Hong Kong, travelers have reportedly heightened security measures on the mainland side, with people passing through being subjected to police checks of their mobile phones. The protests, now entering the third month, were sparked by a now suspended extradition bill that would have allowed Hong Kong to send criminal suspects to China for trial. China's foreign ministry spokesman Geng Shuang said they had made stern representations to the UK over comments made since the protests began in Hong Kong, requesting they stop making these irresponsible statements, stop meddling in Hong Kong's affairs, and stop interfering in China's internal affairs. The Afghan Capital Interior Ministry spokesman Nasrat Rahimi has said that the death toll from an Islamic State attack on Kabul wedding at the weekend has reached at least 80, as the Afghan capital still reels from the deadliest blast in more than a year. It would be recalled that a suicide bomber targeted a packed Afghan wedding hall in West Kabul on Saturday as celebrations were in full swing. Authorities said the initial death toll was at least 63, with more than 180 people wounded. It was Kabul's deadliest attack since January 2018, when the Taliban packed an ambulance with explosives and detonated it in a crowded street, killing 103 people. According to an official, the blast was so powerful that it blew much of the roof off the massive wedding hall where hundreds of guests had gathered. Among the dead was a musician who had been performing on the stage near the blast. The bloodshed comes as the US and the Taliban continue to seek an agreement that would see the U.S. reduce its troop presence after nearly 18 years of war in return for the insurgents providing security guarantees. The State Department said he would then head to Afghanistan, where he plans to help prepare the ground for planned talks between the Taliban and the Afghan government. And now to sports. Manchester United midfielder Paul Pogba held his hands up and apologized to his teammates after missing a penalty against Wolves in his side's Premier League 1-1 draw on Monday night. It was reported that the France international, who was awarded the penalty, stepped up after discussing with teammate Rashford, but saw his kick saved by Rui Patricio at the Molinos. According to The Sun, Pogba was enormously upset after the match and told his Manchester United teammates he was sorry for missing the penalty against Wolves in the Molinos dressing room afterwards. The former Juventus star has now mixed 4 of his last 9 penalties. The 26-year-old has one of the worst sports kick records in the Premier League history of players to take at least 10. Meanwhile, Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has now designated Marcus Rashford as the team's permanent penalty taker ahead of Pogba. Manchester United will take on Crystal Palace in the next Premier League fixture this weekend. And that's that on this edition of News on the Hour. Thank you for watching. I am Charles Philip.